What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. In this one, we'll be flying an F-18 demo in the most realistic airshow display mission that I could possibly put together. We are here at Creech Air Force Base, where they held a real airshow back in the day. I think it was a few years ago. You'll find some old YouTube videos of it. And we'll be flying the F-18 demo that I put together personally. I know a lot of you will probably know that I fly and replicate a lot of the demos from real life, but in this one, it's going to be one that I've been working on for a little while as we watch the F-15 go by. We're going to be using a realistic airshow environment. There's going to be other aircraft doing their displays in the meantime, so we have a startup time, a taxi time, and a takeoff time that we need to comply with. We're also going to comply with airshow rules and regulations, so we're going to have a 300-foot deck for our display, apart from the high-speed pass, and for the crowd safety, the minimum separation from the ground will be offset about 500 feet from the runway center line. If you don't want to see the entire thing from start to finish, including startup and shutdown, feel free to skip ahead in the time codes description below. But otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Before we get started, make sure to check out my new website for buying and selling aircraft, WINGLIST. WINGLIST.aero is a place where anyone can advertise their flying machine in the best possible manner with up to 100 high-resolution photographs. So head down to the link in the description below and check it out. We currently have a free promotion at WINGLIST where anyone can advertise their aircraft for free. Help us spread the word about WINGLIST and tell your aviation friends about it. Alright, let's get this puppy started up.
Engine fire left.
Fire switch test.
Left.
Got the F-16 Viper demo team here on the right with an F-15.
APU fire. APU fire.
Doing a low pass, looking absolutely sick.
Lead air right.
That is awesome.
Right.
Do love the Jet Thunder and DCS. And I think behind it here should be a P-51 Mustang. There it goes. Whilst we do the
Engine
test
fire
B.
left. Engine fire left. Engine fire right.
Mustang is coming in for a little display, going into the vertical.
APU fire. APU fire. Lead air left.
I love that whistle.
Lead air left. Lead air right. Lead air right.
It's amazing how well they got it. I was just at Sun and Fun in Florida, and this is exactly what a P-51 sounds like. I mean, it is just, they nailed it. They nailed it. I know there's a lot of debate as to whether that is coming off the gun ports or the air inlet or what. So if anybody knows, please feel free to comment down below and tell us, because yeah, I still don't know what makes the whistle in the P-51. Alright, start up the engines here. Looking for 750 Celsius maximum in the GTs. Let's make sure that doesn't get exceeded. And that goes 550. Yeah, looking pretty good. Okay, perfect. The O-Bug's going. Ground. Get the lead towards the canopy. Taxi out time is going to be 14:12 Zulu. Just doing a fire test switch here. Takeoff is 14:16 Zulu, so we should be pretty good. Stop that. Get the FCS page going here. Right, very good. And let's start up the left engine. Get stored heading for a faster alignment there. Lights are on. Rack and stack precautions. looks pretty good. Let's do a reset. Take off trim. Let's come up here and put that, bypass the field. Flaps can go to half. Okay, and let's do the FCS bit. Flight controls should be moving, I hope. Yes, they are. Good. Okay. Radar altimeter. Get this altimeter going in the meantime. So the deck is going to be for 300 feet, except for the high-speed pass, where we're going to drop down between 150 and 200 feet, which is allowed. Well, in the US it's allowed. Nowhere else would it be allowed, but the US, so long as it looks cool, that's the most important thing. These people know how to do entertainment. Right. Very good. That is all done. So flaps are now going up. Let's bring up the HUD on that side, which is what we're going to need. And let's do a wipe out of the flight controls. So left, right, up, down. Very nice. Flaps going back to half, and we're going to set 7 units nose up takeoff trim, which is not what we're normally supposed to do for takeoff in the F-18, but it's an airshow display, so that's what we're going to do. Let's arm the ejection seat, and let's just have one more look here. This line is looking okay, so let's put that to IFA, and just do a very quick scan of everything, make sure everything's in the right place. Bleed air we've done. Low altitude height warners down to 220 feet, which is good. Yeah, radar altimeter set, HUD, FCS on that side, bingo's 2000, flaps are half, takeoff trim of 7 units set, hooks bypass, lights are on, and yep, everything is on. How are we looking for time? Put the time UFC on there. And it should be on. I'm not really sure why it doesn't appear now on the HUD, by the way. Somebody can tell me. Maybe, I think it only appears maybe after you take off or something, but we can see it there anyway. So we are at 11. We set taxi at 12, so we've got 1 minute to spare, so that's perfect. We'll do the final checks, and we are good to go. P-51 is landing. There it is. That is perfect. And at this point, we should be good for taxi, so we would request taxi clearance, of course, from air traffic control and the airshow boss, but unfortunately, just, I don't have that in DCS, because I didn't do the voiceover, which would have been nice, but such is life. Oh, okay, yes, that's going to stay there. Okay, right, I think we are good to go. So let us throttle up, do a little brake check, and taxi out. So this is Creech Air Force Base. For those of you that are not familiar, it is a base for drone operations. So that's why you see a whole bunch of Reapers and Predators around. But they have done a real air show here at some point. I know there's some old YouTube video where they have done something similar to this, and this is exactly where the crowd line was. You guys know that I'm a big fan of ultra realism, and so I decided to recreate something similar, and I saw they had a couple of drones parked in front of the crowd line there as well, like so. So that's why you see them there. And the Blue Angels, of course, which we have here, which I didn't see in the video, but I used a little bit of artistic license there and decided that they could be there in theory. And we got the A-10 over here, and a couple of aggressor F-15s just came in to beat up the field, do a couple of low passes, and a couple of F-5s. The air show itself is relatively small, which is why you see the crowd line just goes from there to here. It's not like what you see at Nellis or other places, shall we say. We are pretty good for time. Takeoff is in about 3 minutes. And of course, because we're doing the start to finish from startup to shutdown, there's no reflying this and trying to do something better, or there's no, basically there cannot be any big screw ups. So we got to be conservative. We got to try and fly it like we would in real life. and not screw it up. Basically, that's why there's a lot of pressure on this. If you do it from start to finish, you know, you're really kind of trying to replicate what they would do in real life, i.e., you know, you're not going to be taking risks and, oh, if you crash, you just, you know, do the reset button, because then you got to start all over again, you got to taxi out all over again and do all that stuff. So we're going to try and do it in the most realistic manner. And whilst we're taxiing out here, apart from enjoying the lovely scenery of the Nevada test and training range, which I think to this day is still looking fantastic. I mean, some of these details on the hangars and stuff, it's just awesome. But you know, I think the ground textures could do with a little revamp. Out there in the distance, the mountains look awesome, but just here, you know, like with the sand and stuff. So anyway, we could do one more check, just make sure everything is looking good. There's no warnings for ejection seats or anything like that, and our trim is set for takeoff at 7 units. So yeah, we are all good to go. Got a fire engine here, just in case, of course. And there was supposed to be a B-1B bomber that was going to do a low pass before us, but yes, he's running a little bit late. So, let's see if he comes around. Obviously, the Airshow boss will be telling us about this, in, you know, in real life. But like I say, I haven't done the voiceover. Oh, I see him. There he is. He's coming in hot. Jet thunder off this thing. I have seen one of these things fly in real life, by the way, and of all places, it was in Moscow, believe it or not, where it was parked right opposite to a Tu-160 Blackjack, back when times weren't as bad as they are now. And yeah, I saw it fly. I never saw the Blackjack fly, but I saw the B-1, and I can tell you, it is the loudest aircraft I have ever heard. When it is in burner, it is like putting 5 F-15s together, if not 6 F-15s. I mean, it is really spectacular. Right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. So we have been cleared for takeoff. In real life, I've been putting the landing light on, but in here in DCS, if I do that, unfortunately, it looks a bit dumb because it illuminates the ground even in daylight, which, you know, just wouldn't be the case in real life. We'd also be putting the transponder on. If I can turn it on here. Here we go. So transponding some sort of code, or mode S in real life, I suppose. I'm not really sure how it works in F-18. Right, last quick check here. We said 14:16 is departure time, which we are. We're like 20 seconds behind. We're good. So flaps, everything tuned, takeoff trim, blah blah blah. Yep. Last wipeout of the flight controls. It is looking lovely. All right, we are ready. Just adjust the seat slightly. Stand them up. Let's go. Full back stick, and we're going to be doing the low transition. Gear up, flaps up. Staying in ground effect. Staying in ground effect, looking for 270 knots. Here it comes. And pull back. There we go, get vapor off the wings, roll out. Looking for 300 knots. There we go. More vapor off the wings. Now I'm flying this the way I would be flying it in real life, i.e. showing off the Hornet's crazy nose authority and getting as much vapor coming off the leading edges as is physically possible. So you'll see my Airshow is very much based around that. We're looking for 300 feet minimum over here and a speed of about 420 knots for the inverted pass, starting off nice and easy. Here's 420 knots, and let's go inverted. There we go. Now push forward, unload, full burner, take an offset. Wings level. Pull up, looking for about 55 degrees. There we go. 3/4 roll. And now we're setting ourselves up for the high-speed pass. Which, like I say, we are allowed to go down to about 150 to 200. But we need to try and make sure not to break the sound barrier, so just going to go out of burner here very quickly. and punch it back in as we come in. Here we go. 0.98, outer burner, pull back 0.99, good. We did not break the sound barrier, so the Airshow boss will be happy. 65 degrees, roll inverted, full burner, over the top, managing the speed now to about 300 knots, as much as possible, so just unloading slightly, trying to keep it at 300 because we get the maximum vapor coming off the wings. Here we go. One of the Hornet's most awesome looking features in an Airshow display. Right, now we've overcooked it here slightly, I can tell you, because we are going to be doing a slightly loaded roll, and I'm doing it on purpose to bleed the speed off, because we need 420 for the entry for this maneuver. So that was a way of fixing that, and now we are a little bit behind the crown line, or rather a little too far forward of the crown line, looking for 330 knots as we go here, into the entry for the pirouette. So pulling back, and then kick the rudder, full left aileron, and we are doing the famous Hornet pirouette. So as you can see, we are just slightly offset from the crowd line, which is not ideal. Very slightly, so that was a little screw up on our behalf. Normally that would have been a normal roll, not a loaded roll. Alright, we go, 300 feet, it's good. Full burner, looking for 280 knots. And now we're doing a sort of transition that I invented, sort of getting into the loaded roll, and then we're going to be rolling out 3/4 roll, pulling back, setting ourselves up now for a max rate turn of about 400 knots. So because the pirouette is offset are a little bit further down the field, it means that we now need to cover slightly more distance. We're going to put the air brakes on, just for the crowd to hear how that sounds like. Now, brakes in, roll, and pull back again, 400 knots. Don't descend too much to 390, just unload slightly. Now back to 400, pull back. And we're trying to manage this all the way around, making sure we don't overfly. Get close to 300 feet to the crowd. Looking pretty good. Let's get out of burner, roll out, and take an offset. Idle thrust, pull up, only about 20 and a bit degrees, 3/4 roll, and then we are going to be pulling back to bleed the energy off for a high alpha pass. This is all looking for about 100 knots there, and not drop through the floor, but about 20 degrees nose up, and 100 knots is what we need. There we go. Pretty good. You can see the now we're looking at the VSI, just the bottom left-hand side of our instrument panel. That's a little low for the speeds. Get back up to about 100. That's good. About there we go. So slight climb, just reduce it slightly, back down to 100. 20 degrees, slight climb still, just lower the nose a touch. Here we go, down to 0, it's looking pretty good. Crowd line, let's punch in the burners, gently unload, 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 unload. Pretty good. Trimming forward constantly. Alright, here we go, now we're looking for a speed of 300. And once again we do a little transition to the inverted, and push forward, unload, roll 3/4, and now we're setting ourselves up for the dirty inverted pass. So again, this is all about energy management. So 250 knots maximum for the gear, so we need to do a loaded roll. Gears coming down, it's coming down. It's looking pretty good. Get back down to closer to 300 feet platform. Do not overspeed beyond 250 knots. And we're going to go inverted. Keep the speed around there, that's pretty good. Okay. Push forward. Unload, full beans, gears coming in. Hooks coming up. Looking for 300 knots. And just managing that vapor coming off the wings as much as possible. Unfortunately, the speed A is going to drop as we come over the top. Nothing we can do about that. Alright. Keep that line coming down. Roll out. And now in full burner. Away from the crowd. And here we go. Now we're setting ourselves up for landing. So we're just going to do a couple of loaded rolls here. Speed is coming down, low 250, gears coming down, flaps are coming down, and air brakes are getting extended because we're going to be very, very high.
Altitude. Altitude.
Need a bit more air brakes here. There we go, air brakes come in. Line E bracket with a flight path vector. And let's come in for a greaser. Well, the F-18s generally don't do greasers, although I have seen them. I think the Finns do pretty nice greasers on the F-18s when they do air shows, but I know I'm always going to get that in the comments. Oh, you're supposed to smash it down. Right, air brakes coming out on the brakes. Get her slow down. I do think the Hornet in DCS World, there's two things I think are wrong, plain and simple, versus the real thing. I think the deceleration rate with max brakes is unrealistic. I think the real thing is we'll decelerate quicker. I also think that the roll is just not as sharp. I'm not saying it should be as sharp as the Razbam Mirage 2000, but it needs to be sharper. Real life it's sharper. This thing has a bit of residual roll. Anyway, so we don't forget, let's start the ejection seat there. Stab trim, I believe, needs to be going down to 0. So let's do that. I guess the transponder can come off as well. Back to the crowd as a drone getting serviced or taking out the hangar over there, which is pretty cool. Right, the flaps should be getting retracted, so let's do that. Make sure we don't forget our housekeeping tasks. Trim 0, flaps are up, ejection seat disarmed, and well, the transponder I suppose off, and the landing light should be off, but like I said, I just never use the landing light in daytime in DCS because I just think it looks a bit silly. But having said that, I mean, I don't want to slate the F-18's flight dynamics because I think they have done a pretty spectacular job at representing what it looks like and feels like. I mean, if you see a Hornet at an airshow display, you see the way it flies in DCS, you really can, especially with the pirouette and things, you really can, you know, get it pretty close. But it's just one of these little things that I think the roll rate is good, but the roll authority, or rather the sharpness of the roll when you center the stick, it's just too much residual roll. I mean, especially prominent with weapons and stores, but yeah, even clean configuration, in my personal, very humble opinion, the Hornet should be rolling a bit sharper. So that is my only major complaint, I would say. But otherwise, I mean, it is an amazing module. I'm not gonna lie, it is definitely amazing. So, you know, I'm still very, very, very grateful. But it is just something I've noticed from watching about a million airshow displays. That yeah, it should be different. The Super Hornet demo was freaking awesome. That's so much fun. Anyway, I digress. Right, We don't have a marshaller here, unfortunately, to tell us when to stop. I'll judge it by looking at these Blue Angels F-18s. Right, very nice. Let's get the parking brake set. Open up the canopy. And let's have a look at our blinds. Dun, 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 dun. And have a dozy. Let's get all the stuff switched off. All buttons come off. Right engine's getting shut down. Fuel's on 0. Oh, and by the way, I don't really know how much fuel to fly with or how much fuel to aim to have at the end. So we had full tanks, basically, no external tanks, obviously, for the demo. Actually, I can go back to carrier. Doesn't matter. Flaps coming down. Okay, let's decrease there, right? Let's get the displays and everything off. Perfect. We are good to shut down engine number 1. Lights can come off now as well. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been sort of interesting. I tried my best to create a realistic environment as much as I could, because I just love airshow display flying, and I really hope that maybe one day I could do it as well. And if you're interested in supporting me as my channel, and also supporting WINGLIST, my brand new website for buying and selling aircraft, please make sure to share that with your friends, your aviation community. That would be massively, massively appreciated. I can't tell you how much that would be appreciated. That took so much work. And if you could smash the like button, that would be absolutely amazing as well. And comment down below what other air shows or displays you'd like to see in the future, and I'll see what I can do about that. But for now, hopefully, I shall see you in the next one. Adios.